Hi, I'm Justin Woods, Manager of Web Services for Hope Channel, and I'm just tickled to be able to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Jared Wood. Before I worked for Hope Channel, I had the once-in-a-lifetime, or so I thought, opportunity to go to the middle of nowhere, Wyoming, and excavate dinosaur bones for a whole month. Well, it turns out that was 18 once-in-a-lifetime opportunities because I've stayed involved. And Dr. Jared Wood is now a co-director of that project, and he is here to talk to us today about some of the amazing discoveries that we've been making on that project. So Dr. Jared Wood is a professor at Southwestern Adventist University. He is a vertebrate zoologist, and he has an amazing presentation for us today. Dr. Jared Wood.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us, both online and in person. I'm excited to be here. I had a blast in Palm Springs, and I hope you like dinosaurs. If you don't, it may be a little boring, but it's really hard to mess up a talk about dinosaurs. I mean, they're just such an interesting topic, an interesting group of species to study, to talk about. I think I have a couple of return guests in the audience from Oshkosh, and we had a big layout, so I'm excited to see you again. So hopefully I didn't do too bad of a job at Oshkosh as they came back. I'm so happy to be a part of this and talking about the Dinosaur Project. It's such an amazing project that touches so many lives across the world. A little bit about myself, how I got into dinosaurs. I didn't go in to my studies thinking I'm going to be a paleontologist. I thought about it as a kid. I loved dinosaurs. I considered joining the paleontology field, but I decided, you know what? Dinosaurs had their chance. There's a lot of reptiles alive today. They need help. So I started to study wildlife conservation. And I grew up in a little bitty town in southwest Oklahoma, less than 2,000 people. So if you hear some y'all slip out, started off as a country boy. And we had a rattlesnake roundup. They go out and they collect all these rattlesnakes, and they would butcher a lot of them. And I thought, you know, that's just not right. They have to be an important part of the ecosystem. So that got me thinking about conservation. And I went to school and I pursued conservation, specifically looking at reptiles, alligators, turtles, lizards. I went to school in Kentucky, so being here reminds me of home, seeing the tall trees, because back in Texas we have cactus and we have mesquite trees, but there's not much in between. But I got my PhD in Kentucky. I loved what I did, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to go on. I'm going to be a big researcher at a big university. All my PhD got published. I love what I'm doing. And then my aunt, who graduated from Southwestern, sent me a job announcement, and they were looking for someone who could teach zoology and ecology and help do the paleontology project and a couple of other things. And I'm like, well, I can do a few of those. And paleontology, that's really interesting. So are you saying I get to do wildlife, living animals, and dinosaurs? And they're like, yes. Where do I sign? And I was getting to come home. So that's kind of how I stepped back into it. I'd been a curator of museum collections before, and I have a pretty extensive background in vertebrate anatomy and reptiles. And I'm like, well, these are just big reptiles. How hard can it be, right? And I met Dr. Chadwick, who founded the project, and he just hooked me. He hooked me, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what hooked me as we go through this. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our project. So I've been with the Southwestern and the project for 5 years now. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do. I know it's the afternoon. I like to be relaxed and laid back when I talk. I don't want to give you a lecture. So if you have any questions that are more detailed than what I cover, please find me. I'll stick around, ask questions. But I'll tell you a little bit about what we do, see some pictures, and I have a special surprise for you at the end of this presentation. So a real fancy title, right? Southwestern University, where we're at, where our museum is located. We have an excavation, a paleontology project, and a taphonomic research project. So I'll talk a little bit about what taphonomy is later on in the presentation. So this project was initiated in 1996. That was about the first time Dr. Chadwick went out to the site in Wyoming, got out, looked at the ground, and saw dinosaur bones everywhere. He said that he could not get out of the truck without stepping on bones. If you've ever been to the project, that's pretty true. Once your eyes adjust to what you're looking at, it's basically fossils making up the sediment. It's incredible. All right, it's a cooperative project now between Southwestern Adventist University and the Hansen Research Station and the Hansen family. The Hansen family are just an amazing family. It's a Christian family who wanted researchers to work on the project that just didn't have evolution in mind, just didn't have creation in mind. They just wanted the data to lead to the truth with no bias. And there weren't too many creation scientists at that time that were working on dinosaurs. So Loma Linda got involved and Dr. Chadwick got involved. And that's how it kind of ended up at Southwestern. And we established just a great relationship with the family. We have a great relationship today. I consider them my own family. It's like going home each summer. So we have a research station in Wyoming. We go out there every June for the entire month. People ask me, when's the Dinosaur Project? June. It's easy to remember. Come out every June to eastern Wyoming, and we dig a lot. And I'll talk about where people come from. But if you've ever traveled through the Wyoming area, we're in eastern Wyoming. If you know where Newcastle is, well, you go about an hour south out of Newcastle, jump on a dirt road, go about another 15 miles of dirt road, and then you hit another little dirt road, and you go another couple miles on that, then you get to camp. If you want to isolate yourself away from everyone else in the world, come out there. It's like church camp with dinosaurs. And it's the least populated county and the least populated state in the U.S. There's hardly anybody out there. It's truly an amazing place. But we do take field trips to more populated areas. Mount Rushmore's not too far away. There's some other big landmarks that aren't too far away. So we travel around and let you see different aspects of the area. So we have participants that sign up and come from all around the world. We have a grant project that brings in educators from all around the world, teachers. I think last year we had people from India, South America, Mexico, Japan, Africa, just an amazing group of people. So over the course of the summer, or at least our field season, we usually average about 120 guests. And that's limiting the numbers that we have. There have been requests to have 100 or more guests per day on site. Our current field station was built to accommodate about 20 to 30 people per day. We've been getting by with 50 people per day as our new average, and we have requests for over 100. And we're trying to build a new facility that's 3 times the size of our current facility to house all these people. And it's amazing that we're blessed to have that many diggers that want to come experience it. And that's something I want to let you know about, is you can come to this dig. Anyone can come to this dig. Kids, adults, the elderly, we can accommodate all ages. And we're special in that we allow anyone to come. And it's not that you're going to come, you're going to dig, you're going to find something. I guarantee you will find something. It's one of the few dig sites in the world where I can guarantee that. You'll find it and you'll dig it out and your name will go on that. You'll work up in your data book all the components of that bone, and you'll forever be remembered on our website as the person who discovered that and excavated it. So it's not like you find it and then we say, whoa, 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 back up. Let the professionals come in. No, usually the kids are better at it than I am, and a lot of the other people that are there. Some of the kids they take such care in removing the bones. But we train you, we teach you what to do. So you can come for the afternoon, you can come for the weekend, or you can come for a week, or you can come for the entire month. And if you're interested, we offer a class in paleontology and origins each evening. And if you want to get college credit or just set in on that class, we welcome you to do that. We also have morning worships. We have Sabbaths on Saturday. We have a great outdoor church. And it's just really a fun time to hear from speakers from around the world and just to broaden your horizons. And I'll come back to this later, but this is what keeps me involved with the project, because I had a pretty successful career in wildlife biology. I wasn't certain that I wanted to invest myself in paleontology, and I went out to the site and I met everyone, and that convinced me, like, this is what I need to do. This touches so many lives. It's about those connections, and that's just so, so special to me. Here's some of our guests from last season, if you can see that, one of the quarries. So you can see the quarries are quite remote in an area called the Breaks. because when the settlers came through, they had to put the brakes on because there's so many canyons and valleys. We provide some tarps, but you really are out there in an isolated quarry digging up bones, and every bone you find, that's the first time that bone's ever been touched by human hands. And that's amazing. It's almost addicting. You don't know what that next 6 inches of dirt holds in it. Will it be just, another rib bone, which is pretty fascinating, or will it be a new discovery that we've never seen before? And anyone can make that discovery. My son came out when he was about 12 years old, and he found our 20,000th bone. And that was just really special for him and for myself to be a part of that. So we have children making amazing discoveries. Here's the actual field station that you see now. We have a main building. We have a kitchen area. We do have one shower for guys, one shower for the ladies, and a few toilets. So we have internet. We have cell phone capabilities. So you're not roughing it that much, but we need more showers, more bathrooms, and then we have a large worship tent where we can gather and fellowship. And you can stay in a tent. You can see here we have lots of tents set up. We have RV hookups. If your truck has a pop-up camper, you can stay in that. Or if you want to drive the hour a day to get there, you can stay in Newcastle in a hotel. But there's some way for you to stay there. But if you come, know that you're going to encounter storms. And storms are a part of the experience. They really are. And there's some amazing storms come through. It's just the geography of the area and the geology, topography, it makes it where there's not really any trees, and you can see so far out, and you can see the storms coming, and you can count down like 1, 2, 3, I'm about to get hit by the rain, and then bam, you get hit. So we were talking at lunch, and Justin made he had a great illustration for what kind of tent should you bring. Well, strap that tent onto your vehicle, drive down the road, the interstate, 70, 80 miles an hour. If it holds up, it'll do. But there's some intense, beautiful storms that come through. We do get some tornadoes. Most of the time they don't go through camp. Camp's kind of in a low, sheltered area. And this is my tent from this last season. I thought it was a good tent. I have some experience in being outside. And that's what it looked like after one of the storms came through. But don't worry, we have backup tents. So it's part of the experience. One of our diggers said, "Bring it on, Wyoming, give me your best." And sometimes Wyoming will give her best to you. But she also will reward you. So we have some beautiful rainbows, some beautiful sunsets. I've been all around the world doing field projects. I've never seen sunsets and rainbows and skies like they have in Wyoming. And I'm from Texas, so it truly is special. This was a special one. This is Dr. Chadwick in the orange jacket that he's famous for wearing. He founded the project, and Dr. Keith Snyder from Southern, who's been a long-time collaborator, and we had a double rainbow. Actually, I couldn't capture it in the picture, but it was a triple rainbow. So you get some beautiful sights. But what are we trying to learn? Why are we there? Other than just, it's a great vacation in some ways, but you will dig and move a lot of dirt. We're looking at taphonomy. And the taphonomy is the study of how something gets where it is, becomes fossilized, and how does it end up in the configurations that we find it in today. So we have all these bones in this area, and I'll talk a little bit just about how many bones we do have, and we have a lot. How did they get there? What's the science that we can use to study and figure out how did all of these bones get there, and why are they in the current orientation that they're in? So we study what caused their death, what happened after they died, were they moved, were they scavenged, how fast were they deposited? All of these aspects go into it, and on top of that, we also study the dinosaur bones themselves. How did they live? How did they interact? So we study a little bit of everything, but taphonomy is one of our major focuses because we do have an unusual amount of animals at one site. The ranch itself is about 8,000 acres. It's a beautiful, large working cattle ranch, but there's still a lot of dinosaurs in some pretty small areas. And we were the first to develop this GPS, GIS technology. Our own Justin Woods was a key part of that. So have you seen surveying equipment on the side of the road? Yeah. People holding those big poles with this kind of a cylinder at the top. Well, that's high precision GPS technology where they can measure things within a centimeter. We use the same technology to map our bones. So every bone you find, you record the data for it, you call over the quarry leader with the GPS, and he'll outline that bone using that GPS. The old way to do it was to kind of create a string grid, draw the bones where they lay, take some measurements. It wasn't that precise. We wanted more precision, and we did that. And we were the first. So we're really proud to develop that technology, and now we're teaching others how to use that, including archaeologists. So it's just a great resource that we have. So here's young Justin using one of our pieces of GPS equipment, and he's outlining a large leg bone that we have many, many examples of. So here's a typical femur. Femur is the upper leg, right? And this is a big femur, about this big. We have the world's largest hadrosaur femur. It's about 54 inches long. We probably have the largest collection of Edmontosaurus, hadrosaur bones in the world. That's the duck-billed dinosaurs. They had the long, flat duck bills. This upper leg goes to that animal. We'll find several of these each season. We had a child find one of these, and it takes a while to dig these out. So this one's about ready to be processed. You can see it has its ID card. Now, you know what these dots are? These are the GPS points that have been taken to outline that bone. So we can take a picture of the bone in the ground, put that bone in the computer, then we can put the coordinates on top of the bone and know exactly how that bone was oriented when we found it. So even though we only dig for the month of June, we can study our bone bed all year long because we have so much data available on these fossils. Well, then you can start to overlay the other bones, and we can turn these images and look at the bone bed from different angles. Pretty amazing to be able to have this type of technology to study these in such detail. So you can see a femur there, you can see tailbones, you can see the spinal column, you can see a little bit of everything. Here are our quarries. So a quarry is an individual site where we dig. And this was the number of quarries we had at the time that I made this image. And these are distributed over a large area, but where that blue dot is, that's kind of where the main original quarries are, where some of our largest bone beds are located. But you find bones all over the ranch. And sometimes we'll have people go for an evening hike just to relax, find a bone on the ground, and we'll open a new quarry up and name it after them. Like we have Stair Quarry. Sometimes the quarry is named after a direction, but we have all these quarries, each one producing bones. So this is North Quarry in 1999, the first year we started using this type of data. There are only a couple of people went on the dig, so you can see a femur and a few other bones. Now let's look at it year to year. How many do we actually find? Well, there's jumping to 2005. Now we're going to jump to 2010. Now to 2017. That is a lot of bones. This is one quarry. Wow. One quarry. So at this point in time, our museum has over 25,000 fossils from this one ranch, making our collection one of the largest dinosaur collections in the world, and quite possibly the largest for the Cretaceous layer in the world. We have just an incredible amount. We're so blessed. Little Southwestern University in Texas has this chance to gather all this data. And you all are the ones that are coming out and making this happen. So please keep coming. So once again, here are the distributions of the quarry. You just saw one. Now we can start to look at, well, how do the different quarries line up? And how are the bones oriented amongst the different quarries? So we have many different ways to study these quarries, and each quarry is a little bit different from the other quarry. It's really weird. Most quarries are not exactly the same. So if we take this image, I know it's kind of hard to understand what's going on here, but look at the black part. We think that is the fossil layer where the bone bed is found. Now if we zoom in, this is the part of that black image that's not yet excavated. Now try to comprehend this. What you see, those little clusters, those are bone clusters where we've excavated bones, the quarries we've worked a long time in. The black parts have not been excavated. So that was just one area I zoomed in on. These are not yet excavated. So I'll work the rest of my career. I'm not going anywhere. It's too amazing of a project. My kids could work the rest of their careers, and their kids and their kids. We have that many bones. Conservative estimates, we're talking thousands of animals in one spot. Once again, I can guarantee you will find bones. They're laying all over the ground. You'll get to take some souvenirs home. We'll give bone fragments away to kids as they come through the museum. We have that many. It's tremendous. It's not just about quantity, though. Quality is also nice. Anyone know what this is? That's a big bone. Okay. All right, let's zoom out. Now we have two of those. All right, someone said skull. You're on the right track. Horns, good. And then you have to cast this giant bone. So little bones just get wrapped in tin foil, and then we cushion them in a box. Medium-sized bones get put on a board with some bubble wrap and some spray-on insulation. Big bones have to be casted, and they weigh a lot. I mean, one cast femur can weigh several hundred pounds. I joke with Dr. Chadwick, my previous life, I used to be a power lifter, and I say, I got this job not because of my academic qualifications, it's because I could actually lift the bones. So something like this can weigh up to 1,000 pounds. These are huge fossils. But this bone, once it's back in the lab and out of the cast. That's a Triceratops skull. One of the best ever found, about 7 feet long from the back of the frill, the big fan, to the front of the snout. And we find all types of amazing bones. Like I said, we have the world's largest hadrosaur leg. We have the largest collection of Edmontosaurus. Pachycephalosaurus, the ones that butted heads with the big domes. We have the largest skull dome in the world. We have T-Rex bones. We have raptor bones. It just goes on and on and on. We're so fortunate. Well, what are we seeing? What's the data telling us? Well, the bones lack current orientation, meaning they don't all lay in the same direction, like north to south or east to west. They're kind of just jumbled up in different ways. The majority are disarticulated. Over 25,000 fossils. Most of those are just random bones in this crazy matrix. The whole time we've been digging, we've found about 6 articulated animals, and those aren't fully articulated. One of those is a turtle. So we have some type of destructive process going on that's disarticulating these animals. The bones occur in a normally graded bed, meaning we find little bones at the top of the bone layer. The bone layers, from my chest to about my feet. You find little bones at the top. You'll start finding teeth, smaller pieces of toe bone, smaller vertebrae. And then at the bottom, you find the big bones. We call that normally graded. The bones are very well preserved. They're beautiful. They haven't been rounded off, and there's no true jagged edges. Most of them are in pretty good shape. And I'll tell you what that probably means. It's very interesting to observe that. We try to observe every characteristic of what we dig up. There's evidence of scavenging by theropods. Theropods are meat-eating dinosaurs. We find bite marks on the bones, especially on the larger hadrosaur bones, indicating that these animals are laying here dead, and these predators like T-Rex and raptors were coming along and feeding on them. And when they do that, they bite, they hit this dense bone, and their teeth break off. So we find lots of shed theropod teeth in addition to the bite marks. We also find evidence of seismic activity. Some big event that was very destructive went on, and that's caused by seeing these seismite layers, disruptions in the soil, and I'll show you a picture of that. And then, like I said, conservative estimates indicate we have thousands and thousands of animals on site. So these are some quick rose diagrams. You don't have to fully understand. Just look at the direction of the arrows. Each diagram is for a different quarry, and you can see most of the bones are going in different directions. So it's not like just one-way flow where a river is taking these bones and putting them all in the same direction. And traditionally, that's what scientists thought led to these massive bone beds. The animals fell in some type of river system. They all ended up in one place, and the flow caused the bones to all go in one direction over time. But we don't really see that. This is what normally graded means. This is the actual cast of our quarry wall. So if you were digging, this is what you would see. So you would dig in a meter by meter grid, and this is how many bones you might uncover just going through one layer. So you'll see small bones are kind of at the top, and as you go to the bottom, you see bigger bones. But you can't make out an animal. It's not like Jurassic Park where you see the perfect raptor in the ground. It's never like that. It's really a puzzle to try to figure out where all these bones went. And then this is a seismite. So a sandstone is laid down. Usually it's laid down in even layers. And you see these nice, flat, even layers. But we have these big disruptions, these big swirls that indicate that this sand was wet and then violently disrupted by some type of event. So we have some type of seismic event shifting this wet sand and disrupting those even layers. So here's our basic hypothesis. I'm not going to give too much away because we're about to publish a paper on these bone beds. But we think that we had a large number of individuals that died in one single catastrophic event at one time, one big event. And then they had decomposition over weeks to months. So actually a pretty short period of time where these animals were still on the surface and decomposing and starting to fall apart. And we think that it all happened over a relatively short time because we had to have movement of the bones to disarticulate them and create this graded bed. But they're not broken up and damaged like we would see if we just had a lot of movement down a river over a very long distance. They probably weren't moved that far. We see shed theropod teeth that indicate scavenging. So that indicates that they were probably on the surface for a little bit of time and then moved again, and that's when they got disarticulated, but they weren't moved too far because the bones are in good shape. So what we think happened, we have a very large aquatic debris flow that was triggered by some type of seismic event that moved all of these animals from their original place where they died to a new area. So we have a large catastrophic event that was created by some type of aquatic flow. It's very interesting. So some basic conclusions without going into too many details. We have a really unusual rich bone bed, one of the richest in the world, and that we're just so blessed to have that. We have abundant evidence of a catastrophic death and burial of thousands of dinosaurs. It's widely acknowledged that dinosaurs died from some catastrophic event. But what's interesting is we see these seismic events over a great distance, not one area like a meteorite impact. We see these seismites across this formation, which this formation is the size of Wyoming, Montana. It's huge. So we don't see it in one spot, we see it over a large distance, indicating a much bigger event than one localized meteorite type event. So it's nice to have our eyes open to different alternatives. You know, what we learn growing up influences, our hypotheses and our conclusions as scientists. And we talk a lot about that. You want to clear your understanding, your biases, and just let the data take you where it's going to go. And what we see is an aquatic catastrophic event at our size. And what I really want to drive home is what's really special about this project, other than just the connections. We're doing Christian science at the highest level we can possibly do. We have an amazing amount of technology. We're not trying to prove any one thing. We're just doing Christian science that's valid. And that's truly special to me to know that Christians can do that. Because when I got in grad school, I grew up in a very conservative church. My mom didn't have a lot of formal education. And whatever I was told by my preacher, my mom, I believed that the flood, that was it. And then I got into college, and I didn't go to an Adventist school. I went to a public university for conservation. I started learning all these other theories that made a lot of sense. It started to kind of eat away at me. So it was refreshing to meet people like Dr. Chadwick and Dr. Brand at Loma Linda that are open to alternative scenarios, but aren't just throwing things out there. And sometimes you hear creationists just say things that aren't always supported by science. So it's very refreshing to be a part of a project where we are Christians, but we're doing the best possible science that we can do. And I don't know if there's any place around the globe that can say that when it comes to paleontology at this magnitude that we're doing. So that's our reward. If you're interested, you can go to fossil.swau.edu and look at our bones online. Every bone that we dig up, we process, we photograph, we take a 360-degree image of the bones. You can pull that up at home. So any scientist, any citizen can study these bones from their home computers. If you have a 3D printer at home, a lot of our bones have 3D files. You can print your own bones. So we have the largest online database of bones with pictures and 3D files in the world. So we make this information accessible to everyone, not just Southwestern faculty, not just Seventh-day Adventists, not just creationists, not just Christians. Everybody can study our collection. So we're really creating a lot of bridges between creation and evolution, creating that dialogue, because we have done a good job. Dr. Chadwick has done a great job of doing good science and gaining the respect of outside scientists, secular scientists, and that's also tremendous. That's a huge step forward for creation scientists. So you can see where the bone was in the quarry. You can pull up those images and have a lot of fun at home. But that's not your special prize. Your special prize comes in a second for being here. I'm really excited to show you this. But before I do I have any questions about the project or how you can attend? Yes?
What's the elevation of that dig site compared to the surrounding elevation?
So we're in a basin. So we're lower than the surrounding site. The next highest piece of land are the Black Hills. The Black Hills aren't far from us, but the Lance Formation is a giant basin, which was believed to be an inland sea at one point in time.
What's the closest town?
Newcastle, Wyoming, and then Rapid City is the nearest airport, about 2 hours away.
And the altitude is
Altitude? Or,
how many feet above sea level?
we're probably at like 600 to 800. No. 1243 at our site? Meters, okay.
Was it the Hansons that first discovered the bomb?
Yes, so they knew about the fossils. I mean, they were the first to homestead the area, so their grandfather knew about the fossils. But they've always protected the fossils, which is great because they could make a lot of money selling the fossils for profit, which is a major industry in that area.
How did they make the connection with
They originally reached out to another paleontologist who wasn't in the creation sciences, and the relationship didn't work out for reasons I won't go into. And then they reached out to a local geologist that had ties to Loma Linda. He knew Dr. Chadwick. Dr. Chadwick was working on another project in South America and also in the Grand Canyon. And he said, I didn't have time for this, but I'll go check it out, or I don't have time. He went out, and that's when he saw all the bones and realized, I have to do something about this.
And when was this?
1996 was the first time he went out to the site, and we've been going every year since.
Any human bones been found, or only?
No human bones. That's a major challenge. We find Cretaceous bones, so we're digging in the upper Cretaceous layer, and everything we find fits that upper Cretaceous model. So no human bones. My wife always says she's going to find a human bone when she comes out, and that would be tremendous, but I don't think it'll ever happen. And I give a talk, one of the sermons out there, about why I don't think that'll happen, because if we had all the answers, we don't need faith. But we have our own theories about that, and we discussed that at the project. But yeah, no, to this point in time, only upper Cretaceous fossils. Okay, so I mentioned the best thing about the dig, in my eyes, are the connections. The dinosaur bones are great, but they don't keep me coming back. What keeps me coming back is meeting people from around the world, from all walks of life, and just being isolated, really getting to grow as a person as you meet others. And every summer that I go, I grow personally. I have time to reflect, and there's always some type of issue comes up, and I have to grow, and I learn. And we've had lots of documentaries filmed at the site about the fossils, creation, evolution, and Justin had the idea with the other members of Hope Channel and some of the staff at Southwestern, what would it be like to film the experience? So the Hope Channel, thank you so much to the Hope Channel for doing this, came out, survived a month in the field. They were there the whole time, involved in everything that we did, filming the dig. And it led to a series that's going to be released very soon on the Hope Channel. And I get to show you one of the first ever trailers of that dig series. It's going to be 6 episodes on the Hope Channel where you get to experience the dig firsthand through my eyes, through the eyes of Dr. Chadwick, through the eyes of some of our international participants. And I really hope it blesses you. I hope that it gives you a chance to connect to the project and hopefully convinces you to come experience the project in real life. So please enjoy this trailer and thank you for your time.
This project, I often say, is not about dinosaurs. It's about people. I'm Art Chadwick, and I have been director of this project for 20 years. This is a big bone bed. We haven't even begun to understand what the limits of it are. Big challenges ahead of us. All right? Even though when you see the quarries, you'll notice there are huge excavations there, many cubic meters of sediment. All of that is done with these tools. That isn't water. It's not intended to drink. If you want to drink, take water with you. This is super glue. Super glue is best known for sticking people's fingers together. All right, and then everybody wants to find one of these. All right? This is a tooth of a T-Rex. We have found a number of teeth that look like this of T-Rex, and you may actually be able to find one. Any questions?
I think that was one of the reasons why they didn't get me to take it out, because it wouldn't have stuck together.
When you see a wheelbarrow get full, please dump it.
I'm a quarry leader, and I'm a co-director, and I have a PhD in vertebrate biology. I also had a small town upbringing where I was expected to work, so when I come out here, if there's something needs to be done, it just needs to get done. Dr. Chadwick had his health scare. Everyone looks at him like he's immortal. I mean, he's just a beacon of health and how to live your life. After he got sick, you could see it in his eyes that he was scared. So I've gone from kind of a young faculty member to someone who has to step into a leadership position. I saw the urgency to give me more and more information that I will need to run the camp. So if I don't do it, there really is no one to do it.
I could die at any time, and I'm not worried about that because Jesus is my Savior. So one of the possibilities is that we open a new quarry east of that. Is that right?
We need to, because right now we have data on north, south, west. We need east. because we're losing some of the bones. We don't know if they're the lighter bones are traveling far.
What questions are uppermost in my mind? Guess now it's changed over the years. At first I was just asking the question, what's here? Because I didn't know. Then the question was, how did it get here and why?
I'm doing my PhD right now in structural geology in Hungary. I just love my profession because it's really something that's connected to nature, and I didn't know that there are other advanced geologists on the world. I think it's a big challenge to put them together and live both in the same time, have faith and do an academic life, because they feel like oxymoron things, so they are like opposite, but it shouldn't be like this. Now I can see that there are other people really supporting people.
No, you go. No, go ahead.
There are people here that have been coming to this excavation for 20 years just voluntarily. And their involvement is what makes this thing move forward. After all that time together, you can't help that these people are your best friends and they're people that you care a great deal about. It's not that people have to do it. It's that they want to. Now this project, I often say, is not about dinosaurs. It's about people.